Hi, I'm Rachel Whitefield, certified life coach, and with me is our resident resilient rose, Jackie Black. Thank you for joining us on another fabulous episode of Whiskey Bent
Spellbound with Black.
and Whitefield.
All right, Rach. What are we drinking today?
Oh, Jackie, I am so glad you asked. We just got back from vacation, but we sure did. We are stretching the whiskey budget like it owes us money because,
Right.
yeah, that's what vacations do. So today I am drinking a friend of the show, Virginia Distillery Company, Courage and Conviction Cuvée Cask American Single Malt Whiskey. I'm almost
Love.
out.
Ooh, ooh, you are one drink
I
to
am.
go on this
I
one.
got a strong drink in me, and that's about it on this bottle. What about you?
I am drinking some fancy shit today, Rachel. I am having,
What?
as stated on their tag, the original single barrel finest bourbon in the world that comes from a single barrel Blanton's. Look, it even comes in a bag, which makes it so much fancier.
Ring a ding
Comes in
ding.
a dust bag. It
Hmm.
is beautiful. I know a couple of things about Blanton's. The first thing that I know is that this little horse that tops the bottle,
Yeah.
there there's little letters on the horse. So this bottle is letter L. I don't know if you can
Okay.
see it.
Okay.
But it has the letter L on it, and each horse is positioned differently. And when you spell out the word Blanton's, the horse is running.
Shut
I will not. And I
up.
think, I'm not sure, but I think I heard that when you spell out Blanton's, you have all of those bottles.
Mm-hmm.
Blanton's will send you a rack to keep. I don't know if it's the cork itself or the bottle. I can't remember. I'll have to look into it. But I know I'm going to start getting these. Look at how beautiful this bottle is.
Ooh.
Look how gorgeous. There are handwritten, uh the label on it is handwritten for the whiskey dump date. So this whiskey was dumped on the 27th of February of last year.
Mm-hmm.
This is from barrel 263 on Rick number 56, and it is 93 proof. And that's all
Dang.
handwritten on there. Like you can see the
Ooh.
date is handwritten, all of that
You know,
handwritten.
when you were like, "Oh, it's the finest whiskey bourbon you can get in a
It's
single cap,"
literally
and I was like, "Ha ha ha! What do you got, Jim Beam?" You know, and I was like, "Oh no, this is a fancy. You got a
this is a
fancy.
top shelf bourbon.
You are
Top
not."
shelf.
Because I didn't realize it was Blanton's. I thought you were just being facetious with me, but I was like, "Oh no, no jokes here.
No, this is the top shelf shit.
You're uncorking it right now."
I am it is wax sealed on. You can see it. Look at these two little tabs. Yeah.
This is
So this
nice.
is a nice bottle of whiskey.
Yes. And
Cork, the wax comes off in one seal. Let's see if it makes a sound when I uncork it. Okay, here it goes. Nope, it's just a
no,
little
I didn't hear it.
no, no thing. But look how nice that cork is.
That is really nice.
It's so nice.
I
Look,
would
see,
I would
can you
collect those
see the
bottles.
L on it now that I've
I
gotten the
see it.
camera
Yeah.
to focus?
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Okay, so right on the nose,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm just smelling it straight out of the bottle, it actually smells like citrus.
Ooh.
It's like citrusy with like a spicy caramel.
Ooh. Let's
Really
see.
subtle, really pleasant.
For the Virginia Distillery Company, my whiskey cuvee cast, just as a refresher, because I have drank it on the show for
Yeah.
quite some time. Brings forward notes of raspberry, cherry, brown sugar, coca, and baking spice. So I really like
Ooh.
brown sugar and coca is really what gets me. But I am once again drinking over ice. Are you just drinking yours neat today?
Neat. I do love it. I do love it neat.
Yes. So over the
Ooh.
ice I go.
This is this smells so freaking good. Like I can smell it. I can tell by smelling it it's going to have like a this subtle burn. It's not going to be uh, really like it's not going to have a crazy tannic shock.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I do love drinking Blanton's neat. I typically have a ginger ale to chase it.
You sure
in the back,
do.
if you will.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's taste this. Shall we? Shall we clinkies?
Clinkies. Clinkies.
Clinkies.
I've got my glitter already in.
Mm.
Mm.
Ooh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm getting that cocoa. Same.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Mine, I can taste the caramel,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also really raisiny.
Okay.
Like I almost taste like raisins and then a little bit of orange.
I like that.
Really full bodied. Full bodied
Oh.
is what the sommelier would say.
Of course.
Mm. And yeah, I was right. Spicy on the end. The tannic is a little spicy on the end.
I've
Really warm. Oh my
um
goodness. Burnt
it
sugar.
let me tell you, it has been cold in Colorado.
This would do it. This would
Very
warm you
cold.
up.
I have been drinking that spiced whiskey from Breckenridge
Yeah.
distillery. And it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, it's just like it's almost as like a refreshing taste of like an unspiced whiskey. Again, I'm like, oh, hello, old friend.
Yes.
Good to
It's
have you
so
back.
warm and toasty.
And I will say, because I don't have any particular ice molds today, I do have the freezer ice, totally
Yeah.
fine. Um, but I do have the from once again from Fancy Sprinkles Prism Powder Citrine Yellow in here. Can you
I
see?
love a citrine on the
Sparkly.
with the whiskey. It's so
It does
pretty.
too, because I love a little monochromatic look. So it's a yellow glitter in
Mm-hmm.
a caramel colored whiskey. So it's just like that
Mm-hmm.
golden hue that we love.
Love.
Hmm.
Love it. Looks expensive in that cup, quite frankly. I love it so
I do
much.
love it. So here we go.
I can confirm this whiskey lingers, like the flavor, the smokiness of it.
Hmm.
It stays. It stays. Like I can still taste it. It is so nice.
That's so nice.
So, well, as
Oh,
always, I love our whiskey tasting part, but let's get to like what we're gonna talk about because it's gonna be a little bit more serious of a topic today.
yes, we do. Because I feel like we are a full spectrum podcast here. So
We
we talk
are.
about the fun stuff, we talk about the reality TV, but again, we talk about I think things that affect us as women, as people,
Mhm.
everything. Because I feel like I am a whole and complete person, very robust in the things that I think, the things that I feel. And so I'm not going to be pigeonholed into just one thing. So that's
Yeah.
what the podcast is about. Just the like
Talk
eh,
about everything because we
everything.
are all going through something at some point. Somebody is. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? So
absolutely. So, in honor of the recent time change, except with the exception of Hawaii and Arizona,
I know, right?
for the other 48 states that change time, we're going to talk about depression.
Hmm. It's very timely.
It is timely, pardon the pun, but it is. So, do you want to kick us off on depression? Because I have a depression journey as well.
Yeah. I
So,
mean,
and
it's
we also
something,
understand that this might not be an appropriate little trigger warning. This might not be the podcast for everybody. If you need to take time and skip this one, that's okay. Meet us back at the other
right?
one over on Patreon. We love you, no problem. But we will be
Yeah.
talking about mental health on this episode as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do you have I have a depression journey.
Well, I
I can get
mean,
back to it.
I do have a depression journey. I've been through a lot of shit and
Mhm.
I was diagnosed like pretty early in my life. I feel like compared to some, I don't know, maybe not even compared to people. I feel like 30 was early for me to actually go and get my diagnosis,
Okay.
understand what was going on. With my mental health, I had just been through a really difficult custody battle, which I think really triggered my need. I feel like to go and like get mental health help.
Mhm.
Even though I was going through that for like years, and we all go through like super hard stuff. So how it manifests in me is that I sort of like start putting everything off. I
Mhm.
sort of get couch locked. I get hyper fixated on things that do not take me outside. I actually start getting a little scared to go outside. of my
Can you
house. So
take
that's really how it manifests in me.
Mhm. Can you take me back to when you were 30 and just say like how did you get diagnosed? Like what was it that sent you to the doctor or if you care about sharing that?
Yeah. So I at that point I had been married for 5 years to my second husband.
Mhm.
And there was just a lot going on. Like my daughter had come to live with us and I was homeschooling and I wasn't sleeping and there was just a lot of stress. Um, a lot of like pressure on me. It felt like being the primary caregiver of the kids and like also being a military spouse. And so it was just a lot of stress. And I was like volunteering a lot, things like that. And I noticed that I was like still not sleeping. I wasn't sleeping during my custody battle, which had ended about 6 months before my 30th birthday,
Mhm.
something like that.
Mhm.
Um, no, maybe a year. I would say I was 29 when it like officially was done. Um, and I still wasn't sleeping. And but the what was happening was I was getting mad quickly and violently mad,
Mhm.
screaming, throwing things, not at people, not at any of my family members, but I would like go in my room and like throw things that wouldn't hit anybody. I was
Mhm.
like physically getting out my rage. And the thing is that my rage would come quickly.
Mhm.
So that's how it was kind of manifesting.
Mhm.
And I was talking to my mom about it, and she was like, maybe you should just go see a doctor.
Mhm.
Maybe you should just go, just see what happens. Like, if anything, like you'll find out if if there is something that they can help you with. Maybe you'll get some tools. Maybe you don't even need antidepressants. Maybe you just need tools to deal with your rage. And so I started, going to the therapist and they put me on antidepressants.
Mhm.
I got on Zoloft. I was on Zoloft for like 5 years.
Mhm.
The longer I was on Zoloft, the weirder my dreams got. The weirder and more vivid my dreams got. Also, I yawned a lot right in people's faces. And it wasn't like that was my side effect, I guess. And
Were
then
you
I had some
tired or you
anxiety
just had to
medication.
yawn a lot?
Yeah. And then I had I was on anxiety medication. So I was diagnosed with both kind of around the same time.
Mhm.
So that's like why I went. It was getting to be too much. I felt like a bad mom because I couldn't be patient with my children. They're literally children. This is their first time here.
Mhm.
You got to be more patient. So it was just kind of like a culmination of shit that was going on in my life and like my real inability to regulate my emotions. And to be fair, this was really temporary. Like my medication journey was really temporary. I'm no longer on medication,
Mhm.
anxiety or depression. And I'm definitely getting a lot more sleep than I used to ever get.
Mhm.
And I'm doing other stuff to like help with it.
Mhm.
So, but it can be uncontrollable. And sometimes it just comes on and just puts you in a really dark place. And like, while this year has been so, so good for me, shit happens and it just sends me into that place. And it's like a very mentally difficult struggle to pull myself out of it.
Mhm.
But I don't like the medication. So that's where I'm at,
Yeah.
you know?
But do you have that awareness of like, hey, I'm aware I get like this. I'm aware that I feel this way. So you just kind of have to keep an eye on it, on yourself about it.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I tend to turn to, my friends, my
Mhm.
mom, when things start getting a little bit too dark. But, there's triggers out there. Like I mentioned my custody battle. That was a horrific experience having to go in and out of court. made the depression come and go,
Hmm.
um, when I was desperately hanging on to my third marriage, which I knew was a failure from the jump.
Hmm.
And walking down the aisle, I knew this shit wasn't going to work. What the fuck?
Yeah.
So that made me depressed. That depressive episode actually manifested physically in me.
Like,
I was getting really bad acne. And I mean like just cystic acne all across my face.
hmm.
I was starting to lose weight, but my face was puffy. It was so weird. It was so weird. Like I was losing weight, but my face was getting puffier.
Hmm.
So it was just manifesting in me physically. Now, granted that relationship definitely was a cycle of abuse, of narcissism,
Hmm.
but you could see it manifesting on me physically. So, and like I know we're talking about sometimes it can be seasonal. It definitely does that to me. I'm not getting dressed up as often. I'm not wearing makeup as often. And I definitely think that if you're a makeup girly and you stop doing that, you're actually, I think it inhibits your mental health when you stop doing it for a while,
Hmm.
because that's the time that you spend on yourself. And not only are you spending that time just focusing on only you, that is like a boost to your mental health because you're making yourself feel so good when you're
Yes.
done. You're like, yes, I am talented. I slayed my makeup. I look prettier. I feel better when I look prettier. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I tend to find myself in those like ruts, I think, during the winter. Cause also I dress like this.
In your
And
sweatsuit.
don't get me wrong. Like this sweatsuit is fabulous. It is amazing,
It's
but
Haunted Mansion, by the way.
it's haunted mansion for our listeners and not our viewers.
Hmm.
It's beautiful.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm also like not sure. I'm not feeling sexy. I'm not feeling, saucy. I'm just not feeling like the way I normally do in the
Hmm.
winter as I do in the summer. Clearly a summer girly.
Absolutely.
So, like you find yourself having to like stave that off.
Yeah. Hmm.
You find yourself like sleeping a little bit longer. I'm definitely sleeping. I'm getting my sleep, but I'm sleeping longer. And recently I've had tragedy in my life,
Hmm.
and that's been really triggering for my depression. So, as great as this year has been, the universe is evening it out in a yin and yang fashion. And it's like, did you have a good time? Cool. Here, deal with this trauma. And now I'm sort of uh dealing with depression creeping in. Like I'm seeing here's what's weird about this time about me being a little bit depressed right now is that I am seeing it in real time. And I have been so weak in stopping it. I've been doing what I can, but it is so clear that I'm doing stuff that's not, it is indicative of my depressive states.
Where do you feel your depression inside of your body?
In the deep pit of my stomach.
Hmm. Do you
In the
feel your anxiety differently, or is it just all the same?
Yeah, I feel my anxiety on my chest.
Hmm. Hmm.
In I feel my anxiety in the back of my shoulders. I take that back. Not on my chest, in the back of my shoulder blades.
Hmm. That's its
Actually,
home. That's where it lives.
that's where it lives.
Hmm.
And then
So,
I feel my depression in my stomach, like a pit, like it's never full. It's empty there.
yeah.
And it just kind of drags me inward. It just sucks so bad. And sometimes it feels like I can't get through it.
Mhm.
I know it's happening. And you know how self-aware I fucking am. I'm so self-aware. Like I see it happening.
The longer we have it, the more self-aware we become because once we educate ourselves, it's like, I'm aware that this is happening. Now, what am I going to do about it? But it's like
Yeah.
before pre-diagnoses, something is wrong and I don't know what's wrong.
And I'm just gonna sit in it.
Yeah. So I'm going to take a moment and talk about my depression journey.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm going to talk about three different types of depression and that I
Okay.
have experienced in my life. One, we have situational depression, we have seasonal depression, and we have like
Yeah.
depression. So to
Yeah.
me, situational depression is there is a loss in the family.
Mm-hmm.
There is like when someone first explained what situational depression was to me, I'd been married for 6 years. My husband had just not been like ripped out of my life, but he went to boot camp. So I had my best friend with me for 6 years every day, and he is no longer there. And if I didn't have anything to do, I would do nothing. I could get up, I could get ready, I could go to work, I could walk the dogs. Other times, other than that, I would be in bed. I would get myself out of
Yeah.
bed to go to the mailbox to see if he had written me a letter. But other than that, I was working, I was walking the dogs, or I was in bed because I just really struggled with like, I didn't get married as a Navy wife. I've been
Yeah.
married with this person, and you're really into your marriage at 6 years. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, your best friend is not there anymore.
It's
So
so hard.
that someone was like, "Oh, that's like situational depression." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And at this point, I was living in Phoenix, Arizona, very sunny places, lots of sunlight, lots of vitamin D. And so I was like, oh, "Okay." So again, once we reunited, I really felt a lot better and I could focus on work, I could do whatever, but it's like I needed to be distracted. If I didn't have a distraction, I did not have that. And then again, as a Navy wife, let's talk about seasonal affective disorder and
Mm-hmm.
depression. And again, we move from Phoenix, Arizona, 6 months in San Diego, up to Everett, Washington, and Bremerton for 5 years.
Oh my God, dude.
And if we're in the Pacific Northwest, I have never experienced that. And we're talking Seattle weather. We're
Yeah,
talking
that's just
40
raining
degrees
all
and
the time.
drizzly, and the sun hardly ever comes out. And so
Yeah.
it was a shock to my system because we moved there October 1st, 2011.
Oh God.
And it was we moved there the summer without a summer. So they had an incredibly mild summer and a really followed by a really hard winter.
Oh
And
God.
so I am bubbly, I'm excited, I love
Yeah.
people. I just went to nail school. I'm excited for this new career that I'm doing. And again, I I had never truly experienced like quote unquote depression, and I did not understand what was happening to me. I was like 27 years old. I have no idea what's going on. I can't get out of bed. I can barely walk the dogs, get back in bed.
It's
And
worse than situational.
everything feels and I don't have a job at this point. All I have to do, but he's also working in Bremerton and I'm in Everett. So that's like, you know, a 2 hour car ride, 3 hour car ride, 2 hour ferry ride. I'm not quite sure. But he's away for the week and home for the weekends.
Oh
And
my God.
so I'm snatched out of my comfort zone in a warm climate with my friends. And now I'm in this place where I don't know anybody. I have no friends. It's freezing outside and the sun does not shine.
Oh my God.
And all I have to do, I was like, okay, Rachel, you have a gym membership. All you have to do is go down the street to the gym. It's not far away. Everything, hey, you have to go grocery shopping. And I'm a makeup girly. Getting ready seemed insurmountable. Like the process to feel
Yeah.
like I'm myself is overwhelming. All I can
Yeah.
do is stay in bed because I don't understand what is happening to me. I don't understand depression. And especially from where we're from, it's like, oh, mental illness, blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
I had seasonal affective like slapped me across the face and made me its bitch. And I had no idea. I didn't
Yeah.
know how to talk about this with somebody. I didn't even have a doctor. I didn't have anything. And I
Yeah.
didn't have established care. I don't understand. I just am not myself. And thank God for our moms because she could hear it when I would
Hmm.
talk to her. And then I was like, I don't really understand. And then, of course, you want to do this holistically. You don't want to take meds. We'll get into meds in a second, but you don't want to take meds. Those are bad for you.
Mhm.
And so then I was like, okay, I was looking into like those blue light therapies they have in Alaska and stuff. And so
Yeah.
there's a lot of tanning salons up in Washington. I see why. And then I started tanning. And then I was talking a couple weeks later, I was talking on the phone with my mom, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, baby, you're back.
Aw.
And I really, really appreciate that moment with my mom
Yeah.
because I was like, let me see how tanning works. And
And
if
that's
it
what you needed. You
if
needed some
it doesn't,
UV.
then I'll talk to somebody about it. But it's like getting up to pee, going to the bathroom is all I could do. And I'd be
Yeah.
like, just brush your teeth. It was bad.
That's really
It
bad.
was bad. It was really bad. But then, I found my way through artificial sunlight. And yes, I understand that that can be bad for you if you overdo it. But let me tell you, it made
Yeah.
me warm. I am very fair skinned, but I
Yeah.
understand that I have to have my limits about it.
Yeah.
But to me, the payoff is I've come back to myself. I feel myself better. And it's just more of like, I think in that situation, especially coming from an incredibly like sunny place where we hide from the sun, where we
Hmm.
grew up, and it's like, I think everyone is a certain amount of solar powered, and I am incredibly solar powered.
Yeah.
And people up there who are from there, they get all the sun they need because that's all they need. Sometimes they're like, we can use the rain again. I don't need all this sun. But me,
No, not me. I need all of the sun.
I'm incredibly solar powered. And now from a recent, like my past two physicals, it's like, Rachel, I have a vitamin D deficiency. I'm like, yeah, no shit.
Let's like
So
be honest. We're from a very sunny place. Like, of
very
course, we are sun girls.
yes. So I am very solar powered. So I needed, so
Yeah.
once I got more, I could fill up my own solar power batteries. I
Yeah.
came back to myself. But then
Yeah.
let's talk about depression. And
Yeah.
this is my significant depression journey when we talk about it.
Yeah.
And I, so it's like, I know what it feels like to have very bad seasonal depression. And I will say the saddest days I ever had in Washington was the day, what is it, was like June 23rd. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, the days aren't getting any longer. They're not getting any
Yeah.
hotter. This is it.
Yeah. This is
And
it.
my happiest day was December 22nd when I'm like, "Ooh, yes, it's pitch black at 4 p.m." Not really, but but I was like, this means the days are getting longer. This is happening.
Yeah.
So, because it's very significant, especially like that far north, it's like it's sunny. It's daylight, let's put it that way, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. It really
Yeah.
to you and it was very, very hard. But I want to say post-divorce, my third round of a different type of depression is actually like chemical imbalance depression. And
Yeah.
again, like we were very late stage diagnosis ADHD, as a lot of women are. And I had gone through my divorce. I was living in my sister's basement, still lovely, had my own little suite, but I'm still trying to get on my feet. And it's sunny in Colorado. I moved in the summertime
Hmm.
and I'm feeling that same type of way again. I see myself napping a lot.
Hmm.
I'm drinking a lot. Um,
Hmm.
so, and then I think there's certain coping mechanisms that we have and we put in place for ourselves, and then maybe this won't work anymore, or we're
Yeah.
masking this other thing that's happening inside of us that we don't understand. And I was putting myself through coding school, really trying really hard, but I was like, something is wrong inside of me. And so I go to the doctor and I say, this is how I feel. And that nurse practitioner said, you obviously do have signs of depression, but I think you're right on the line. And I don't want to put you on anything. So, manage it with like skills and techniques. Okay, what does that mean? Like you've confirmed that I do have depression, but
Right.
you don't want to help me. I don't understand what I need to do, whether it is pharmaceuticals or if it is, um, with techniques or both. I think that's
Right.
also like informed consent for me to understand, like, can we try a pharmaceutical? Can we not? So now I am diagnosed, but I am not giving any other options outside of like self-management. And I was like, well, if I could self-manage, don't you think I would? Like, yes, I exercise, but then it's like you talk yourself out of going to the gym. Let me just depression nap. Now I'm one day farther away from my goals. Now I hate myself a little bit more. Now I'm digging myself farther
Yep.
into this depression. And I know who I am at the heart of me is someone who's very outgoing, very bubbly. But it's just I had become so reclusive. And I'm like, this is not me. But I'm also like screaming on the inside that this is not me.
Yeah.
So a year goes by and it's time for my physical the next year. So I go back to the same place. They do have a different nurse practitioner. And I say, like, this is what I'm feeling. Like, this, it's worse. Like, when it comes to
God.
depression, but she says, okay, absolutely, let's put you on. And I was on Wellbutrin.
Okay.
And the amount of relief I felt that someone listened to me and validated me
Mm-hmm.
and was like, let's see how this works for you. Come back, we'll check in, we'll try it again. There's a lot of
Yeah.
other options. Let's try it. I did respond very well to Wellbutrin, but I want to talk about how I felt before I went to that doctor's appointment because you had mentioned about being a makeup girly. We are makeup girlies. But
Yeah.
again, it got to the point where it's like, I have
What's the
nothing to do
point?
in the day, but it was like I would sit in silence on my bed for an hour before then forcing myself to take a shower, then getting ready. And it's like, it's almost not a lie, but it's almost like this will make me feel better if I put my face on.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's also almost like a beard or you're masking because I was with a family in my family that they did not understand mental health. And they think it's quote all in your head. Yes, it is in your head, but
Yeah, it's in your head.
something's wrong with your head. Something's wrong with
Yeah.
your levels, you know? And so I I remember I was having dinner with my sister and it's like you feel I felt like I was drowning on dry land. And you know that there is enough oxygen for 8 billion people on the face of this earth,
Not
but
enough for you though.
not enough for me.
Yeah.
And I would put on like more makeup, a little stronger of an eyeliner to try and convince myself that
Yeah.
I felt better. But let me have a glass of wine because this will make me come. Let me have 3 glasses of wine. And I remember I know I was telling my sister like the day before, and I was like, I don't feel well. Something's not right inside of me. And then the next day, she was like, we had friends over and we were drinking. And again, you're like engaging and talking to people, kind of. And she said, how are you feeling? And I was like, worse. And she
Yeah.
says, don't lie. You have a full face of makeup on. I know you feel fine.
That shit. I hate that shit.
And I want to say for anyone who does suffer from depression, we all have our own coping mechanisms, but I'm not a sweatpant wearer. Like, like I am, it's like I'm half masking. So but I'm also trying to like or tell myself that if I look better, I'll
Yeah.
feel better. All those things you
Yeah.
do. And I do feel better because I
Yeah.
feel my best when I have a full face of makeup on. But it was like, I'm trying my best to come up out of it to meet them where I think they want me to meet them at. And I can barely. And they think I'm totally normal because now I'm half sauced and I'm like, okay, I don't care at this
Yeah,
point.
you're just drunk and you don't care at that point.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then when you get drunk, you're borrowing serotonin from tomorrow out of the bank
You literally, that
that
is
is
such a good way to
really
put it.
in a
You're
deficit.
borrowing it when you're
You're
drunk
borrowing it
and
from a
depressed
bank that is empty the next day.
already. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just like I'm just trying to like be this person that they see that I am, but it's like you feel fine. You put makeup on. I was like,
You put makeup and you look fine. You look great.
and I want to
That's
say,
always been that's always been like my problem with depression is that like everybody else around me thinks I'm fine.
what I really
because
struggle
I have makeup on because they look pretty. So I must be over it already.
because we do not fit into their idea of what depression looks like. And I want to
Yeah.
say, again, trigger warning, Chester Benningfield, from Lincoln Park. And
Mhm.
everyone was like, he did, unalive himself. And but the last video they had of him, he's laughing with his family. And I was like, I've never
Robin
identified with someone more of their struggle with it, not
Robin Robin Williams.
because we don't want to be a burden. We're already a
Yeah.
burden to ourselves.
We're
We
already a
feel on the
burden because
inside
we're sad.
and we're struggling. And it's more than
Yeah.
sadness. It
It
is
is.
an
It's like a
emptiness.
deep
It's
seated in my
okay.
head whenever I get into like my depressive state, it's like a deep seated guilt. I
Mhm.
feel guilty constantly for me. Like there's some kind of like that. I don't know if that's the word for it, but it's an adjacent feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like that, but that's where I identify it. Like I don't deserve to feel a little bit of sadness. It could be worse.
Yes, it can
And then
always,
that makes me feel worse.
yeah.
That
And
makes me feel worse.
yeah, or like they think we're lying when I'm like, I have been telling you this whole time I am struggling. I've been telling you this whole time. But it's like you feel fine. Your whole face is on. And it's like you just feel like you're trying to come back to yourself. But
Yeah.
like, and where my depression lives, it's like I feel like it's like a snake, like a python. And it like sits right above my heart and then it like climbs and like loops itself around my neck and it like chokes me.
You feel it super heavy.
Yeah. And and that's really hard to explain to somebody, especially when they don't really believe it exists. But I
Or they've
also
never experienced themselves.
they've never allowed to be like, oh, okay, let's go down that road or anything. Let's explore what this feels like or try to muscle your way out of it.
Yeah.
And so I was dating someone who I said, I'm really struggling and I don't feel right inside my body. And I think I need to talk to somebody. I want to be very clear for me, it was never self-harm. It was just, I know I'm so far away from who I truly am that something is deeply wrong and it feels deeply wrong. And I've been struggling with this for a long time. And I think I need to talk to somebody. You don't need to do that. You don't need to go on any pills. Those are bad for you. And I know
You
that
just
these
need to go for
people,
a walk.
and I
I
know that
hated
these
hearing that.
people truly had what they felt were my best interests at heart. I think they were just worried about their own concerns,
Mhm.
about what their own thoughts about it. But I want to say that that really kept me away from help, from listening to my sister and the person I was dating, kept me from seeking out
Getting,
mental health resources.
yeah,
Because I loved them and I listened to them, and I was very easily influenced because my self-esteem was not my best.
yeah.
And so I was like, these people love me and they have my best interests at heart, of course. Like, and then I got to the point where I just couldn't take it anymore. And I broke up with that person and I immediately called my doctor and I made an appointment.
Good. Good.
And that is when I went on Wellbutrin. And I want to say for anyone who's experienced this or is currently going through this, depression is a liar.
A
The,
liar.
the longer we have it and we manage it, we kind of know, like I said, your triggers, what you're handling it. And I, living in Colorado, moving from San Diego, I was like, I was in a long distance relationship with this person, and he was in San Diego, and I was like, my girlfriends, my friend group, are totally going to leave me.
Mhm.
I just lift right out of the group. Everyone loves him. They're going to keep him in the group. I'm going to lose all of my friends if I break up with this person.
Ugh.
That is what my depression was telling me. And I
Yeah.
was so absolutely desperate that I was like, I'm not going to have any friends. And that is the price I have to pay.
Ugh.
So then I went and let me tell you, I'm still all friends with those amazing women in San Diego, and two of them sent me flowers, and they're like, Whenever you want to talk about it, you can. We love you. We love you."
Love
I
that.
didn't lose not one friend.
How about that?
And they were so supportive of me in that breakup
Yeah.
and what I was going through. And I do not regret ending that relationship. And it's like a weight had been lifted. And again, when you go on pharmaceuticals, like they do take a while to build up in your body, but I responded really well to Wellbutrin, and I was really glad to have taken it. Um, and it really did make a huge difference in my life. And I have no regrets. And for anyone
Yeah.
who may feel guilty about going on pharmaceuticals or people are telling them not to, I just want to say that unless your family members or friends are your doctor
Yeah.
and are helping you with your medical plan, they can butt the fuck out of it because it's not
Yeah.
about them. I did what was best for me. And I
Right.
was very upfront with my family that I had chosen to go on an antidepressant. But again, if the only information that they are getting is pharmaceutical commercials, on TV of like, side effects or suicidal thoughts or actions or, depressive thoughts or whatever. My sister didn't really come down to the basement into my room that often. She was down there a lot afterwards. And I said, Mimi, I love you. I'm not upset for more sissy time, but why are you in my room so much? And it was her way of like making sure I wasn't hanging from the rafters
Oh
because
God.
it would have been like she was just like extra checking on me because she thought the antidepressants would would be worse for me. And I was like, "No, babe, like I'm good. Like I am the best I've ever been.
Yeah.
This is bringing me back to myself. Let's take it back to where my mom was, where she was like, "Baby, you're
You're
back.
back.
You're back." And
Yeah.
then does it help everything? No, but it's part of a management plan. Okay,
Yeah.
I can take my antidepressant and now I can go for a walk. It's not that hard to get out of bed. It's not that hard to go to the gym. It just helps manage it. Does it make you a completely different person? No. It brought me back to who I was. It
Yeah.
let me come up for air. It let me know that there was enough air for everybody.
Yeah.
And that, like, do I still feel I call it my dark passenger, but thanks, Dexter. But it's like, I know it's going to be there. I know it's going to be there, but you learn to live with it. You don't fight against it.
Yeah.
You live with it. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's just a cute little baby snake. It's not this huge boa constrictor anymore that
Yeah.
we're fighting to live, you know. So anyone with depression, I want to say like you live with it. You live with it. You learn to manage it. But I
Yeah.
also want to say that having depression has not been a complete waste
Right.
because I have a young family member who is also struggling with her mental health.
Hmm.
And her parents didn't know how to handle it when she's having this complete breakdown. And I said, "Baby, where do you feel it in your body?"
Hmm.
She said, "Behind my knees." Like that's where hers sits. And then she also says, like, we have our little time together. And she said, "It's like, I'm not happy that you have depression, but I'm kind of glad you have depression. So you can show me the way through. So you knew what
Yeah.
questions to ask. You knew how to help guide my family.
Yeah.
And I knew that you weren't ashamed of it, Rachel, and
Yeah.
that you live with it and that it showed me that I didn't have anything to be ashamed of and that I could live with it too. And
Yeah.
because I spoke about my mental health journey, it
Hmm.
helped this young person
Yeah.
move through it. I don't want to say easier,
In a
but less
healthier way.
shamefully in a healthier way that it's like, hey, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. There's something different about you.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with me.
Exactly.
There's something different about me.
And like just to piggyback off of your you're talking about the medications, and I spoke about the medications. Like sometimes when you get deep into, even if you don't want to take medication, let's
Yeah,
be very clear, you don't have to take them forever.
you don't.
A lot of people don't have to take that stuff forever.
Mm-mm.
You sometimes you just need it for like 6 months, a year, 2 years, or
Mhm.
whatever, to not only pull you out of that chemical imbalance,
Mhm.
but then get you used to things you can do, create good habits to keep you out of that chemical imbalance. And when you find yourself in the chemical imbalance again, whether it be seasonal, situational, like I said earlier, I'm hyper aware of what's happening with me. You're aware of what's happening and you kind of know what steps to take next. Like I feel myself getting into that. I don't get locked to my bed, I get locked to my couch.
Mm.
I get locked into the couch and I just feel like I can't do a fucking thing. I can't leave. I don't go grocery shopping. Thank God for, or, curbside pickup
Mhm.
or even grocery
Delivery.
delivery,
Yeah.
you know, because I will not go anywhere for days purposefully. I will have an opportunity and I will not take it. I will stay inside. I cannot. I'll change from one sweatpants outfit to another every literally like 2 to 3 days if I get really deep into it, and I just stay. And I get to the point sometimes where I feel like, or I have at least, I haven't gotten this way in a while, but I can't leave my house. I
Mhm.
can't.
Yeah.
Gives me a panic attack.
And I think people just don't understand like how much willpower or self-hatred it takes to do very small things.
Anything, dishes,
Mhm.
laundry,
Just do it.
changing,
That does not.
literally brushing my teeth.
Hmm.
My teeth suffer the worst when I get into a depressive state. It
I
really, like, it's so bad.
I can't look at everything I need to do. A trick I do is just look at the next thing I have to do,
Yeah. Yeah.
because with my depression, I'm not exactly bed locked, but when I get overwhelmed, I'm like, okay, just go to sleep and ignore it.
Yeah.
Go to sleep. Like you can't feel anything if you're asleep. You
Yeah.
it's kind of like that. So, when I get triggered, it's like I'm just gonna be in bed. Me and SpongeBob, we're gonna be on.
You
And
do. SpongeBob is your comfort show.
and like classic Disney movies.
Yeah.
Frozen. Frozen is like my go-to for sure.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My classic Disney movie, what did I watch the other day? I started just watching, I think it was like Moana, I started watching. And I just put that on. And then another one is like Christmas Vacation.
Yeah. And I
I've been watching that for a while on
and
repeat.
I think do you have anything else to add about your experiences? Because I think it'd be really good if we could transition into like tips and tricks or takeaways.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I feel like the next thing I'm gonna say is how I'm dealing with it.
Yeah.
Really, genuinely, like what I'm doing. Because I'm in it right now. I am in a situational depression right now. I am locked
Mm-hmm.
to my couch. This is the first time I've put makeup on in since I came home from Disneyland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and it's been really tough. Like I'm not doing stuff that I should be doing, and my house is starting to get messy, and like it's just been really tough. Like for those of you who don't follow me on social media, I had a death close to me, and it was very sudden, and it was caused by somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been really tough for me. Like this is probably, I don't know. It feels like I'm getting to the point where like I'm good as long as I keep doing doing what I do to stop the depression. But I can feel myself sliding, and it is slow. It is a slow slide, and I am just watching myself go down the hill
That's the
and
thing
going
with
through the
depression.
motion to stop it.
It's
Yeah.
it is a slow creep. It is just It's death by a thousand cuts. It's just like I'm just
Yes.
gonna put a little pebble on you, and I'm gonna put another little pebble on you, and just lay there, and just I'm gonna put another little pebble on you, and suddenly it's too heavy to
It's
move
too
and get out
heavy.
of it. It's too much, and so it's just this very slow slide of like, I don't have to go to the gym today. I don't
Yes.
have to make myself a meal today. You know what? I don't have to shower today. I don't have to. I can just
I
brush
don't
my
really
teeth.
have to change.
I don't have to. I don't have to put on makeup today.
I don't need to brush my teeth.
Yeah.
It's slow and it is creep. It just creeps. It creeps.
And and then it's like, then your kitchen's messy, then your bathroom's messy,
And
then your
that makes
bed's
me feel
messy.
worse,
And
by
that
the
does
way.
make you feel worse. And this is what I have worked out with Dr. Bestie here.
Okay.
That I said, if you come over, she's got a key to the place. I said, if you come over and it is a wreck, dishes in the sink, you're just, do not, you need to ask, are you okay? What are you doing? Or like, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Because that is
What's
a
going on?
symptom,
That
not
it's physically
the problem.
manifesting.
It's
Yeah.
physically
It's
manifesting in a mess. And so anyone who does find themselves living in that space, don't unpack there, but like give yourself grace when you live there and when you're ready,
yeah.
it can come up. And
Yeah.
don't hate yourself for
Yeah.
these things. But I think it's very important to have a group around you that understands that that is a symptom, not
Yep.
the cause.
Yep.
And to understand, like, hey, can I help you? How can I help you? Like, hey, it just takes time. We're just gonna have to wait for the time. But um here now I have started tanning again, and that has
Okay.
really helped, because I was
Good.
like, I know that does help me. And as someone who is rebuilding a business and doesn't have any insurance, like I am raw dogging this winter season without any antidepressants, without any. I'm off my trazodone because I thought I remember talking to you and you were like, oh, you're sleeping all day. That's a depressive sign. I was like, I know. And I feel terrible. And I'm not doing what I want to do to rebuild my business. But I didn't realize the trazodone was making me so drowsy. So it's like, okay, let's take that out. Let's pull back on the Adderall. And so it's like, okay, let's just go back to the old drawing board. And I'm like, okay. So to me, it is an antidepressant along with tanning once a week, just enough to like make me warm, get that extra little vitamin D boost I need. Because again, we work from
Yeah.
home. It's very
Yep.
easy not to leave our house. It's very cold outside, you know?
Yeah.
But I also say, like, when you start doing one thing for yourself,
Yep.
hey, maybe it's easier to do that next thing for yourself. But also, this is one little trick for me because I'm a fancy bitch, is say we get food takeout delivered. You know what? Take it out of the plastic. Put it on a good plate.
Yeah. Put it on the nice plate. Plate yourself
You,
a
you,
meal.
if you're gonna have a glass of wine, put it in the good glass.
Put it in a
You
nice
know,
glass.
treat yourself for the little things. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to get out of your sweatpants. Just put on clean ones. Stay in your
Yeah.
sweatpants.
That's why I put on the fancy ones today.
Mm-hmm.
I put
So
on the fancy ones and I did my makeup. That's what I
and
did.
and to also like meet yourself where you're at. If you're like, all I can do is brush my teeth today, girl, brush your teeth. Yes. Look at you brushing your teeth, looking so
Kill
good,
it.
getting those pearly whites. Yes, ma'am. And it's like, again, back we're makeup girlies. It's like, put on makeup because you want to,
Yeah.
because it's a joy and not a chore.
Yeah.
But if that's how you mask, it's half masking. It was half masking for me. I know I'm going to feel better, or at least lie to myself that I feel better, or be not so insecure about my looks in front of people.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll feel better.
Yeah.
But again, like, do it because you want to, not because you have to. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I feel like I'm still kind of in it. It's been really, really hard. Um, since we found out last week that what happened.
Hmm.
So I think that what I'm doing, because I have discovered I allowed myself to feel what I needed to feel last week.
Yeah.
I am forcing myself to not linger in that feeling. Because I know my friend wouldn't want that for me, right? She'd be disappointed if I just went into a spiral because she's a bad bitch. So I'm not doing that. I see myself getting into that depressive state and I'm actively choosing every single day, like being hyper aware of what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, if you're going to stay in sweatpants, you're not going to get up and get dressed. You have to go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
So get dressed later. Sure. Stay in your sweatpants,
Mm-hmm.
but you're going to go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I go for 30 minutes, I haven't skipped a day since I made that decision on Sunday, which it's only Wednesday today,
Yeah.
but I've been every day
Mm-hmm.
since Sunday, since I made that decision. Like I can't just sit here and make it worse and let it get worse. Too much shit to do. I can't do that. And I just kept telling myself that I can't do that. So the next thing I did was I cleaned one room in my house because I saw it getting super like cluttery.
Mm-hmm.
And Logan came over, my friend, and so he took me outside. So that was nice. But I know that it's going to be a minute before I'm okay again.
Mm-hmm.
So I've made a deal with myself. Like you're going to go to the gym every day. There's not going to be a rest day. Even if it's just for 30 minutes and you go use two fucking machines. You're leaving your house, you're going to the gym and you're going to move your body.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're walking on the treadmill, go move your body. And luckily there's a tanning bed at my gym. So I'm using the tanning bed every other day. So that has been so helpful. It's weird how it's working. I have it in the tanning bed is a red light therapy.
Yes.
So I'm standing in front of a full body red light and I'm tanning at the same time. And the way after every time I've done it, and I've only done it twice. I've been to the gym 4 days in a row, and I've done that tanning/red light therapy twice. And I've seen monumental improvement in my mood. Am I still sad? Yes. I am actually still having trouble being unlocked from the couch. So I go to the gym, I come back, and I sit right back down on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
That's been my most difficult thing. But I know that if I keep going, and doing just what works for me and just that little step,
Mm-hmm.
I'll get through it. I will be okay and I'll get to the other end. I don't want to get on medication again. I'm not good at medication, so it
Mm-hmm.
won't help me anyways. I'm not good at taking pills
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good when I remember that. What I remember, like 2 days out of a week. So it's like, it's pointless for me to try to get on medication at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to just make sure I recognize the symptoms and then do the one or two things that I know specifically is mood boosting and get out of it.
Yeah.
That's all I got to do, you know? So that's really those are the tools I use. And then I always have somebody who obviously, like I'm so lucky because I have somebody who understands in my life, who understands depression. And I'm literally talking about you. So
Thank
like
you.
I can literally just talk to you whenever I need to. And that's been super helpful is being able to just because I can't it's hard to talk to family. It's hard to talk to friends who don't understand, but you get it. So that I feel like is also another thing. Like look for somebody close to you who understands what depression is.
Absolutely. And for anyone else, I would just say you are your best advocate. Like I had people around me that did not understand, even though they very much did care for me, but I had to advocate what was best for myself. And
Yeah.
I would say that, like, give yourself some grace. It's okay.
Mhm.
Nothing is wrong with you.
Right.
Your just brain works a little different, and that's okay. And that's why I am an advocate for pharmaceuticals. But also, you don't need to accept anyone's judgment
Mm-mm.
that is not yours or your doctor's and your care plan. You can
Yeah.
tell them to fuck all the way off. And then
All the
also,
way.
if you are currently going through it and say, you, this was an example from Glennon Doyle in her book Untamed. And she does suffer from depression as well. She's like, I feel great. So she feels like she doesn't need to take her meds. And
That's
then
why I am mad
you
at meds.
start, and then you start, it's not the med's fault, but then
Yeah.
you start slipping back in and slipping back in. And then one day you feel good. So you're like, I don't need to talk to my doctor. Depression is a liar. Let's remember this. But then her advice was write down how you feel when you feel your worst, and then take that to your doctor when you are feeling better. So
Yes.
that way you know how to explain it.
Yeah. That's
That
actually a
way
great
you
tip.
understand because you need to really describe how you feel at your worst. So when you are feeling better, you don't. Because as women, I think we're just really easy. Just let's just sweep it under the rug. I didn't feel that bad. I'm okay now.
Yeah, right.
Blah blah blah. And this is why we do
Yeah, we
med
do
checks.
sweep
That's
it.
why we do. So I would say at your worst, write it down. Write down words, write down colors, like I feel squiggly, whatever
Yeah.
it is, you know how to do it.
Yeah.
I felt like I was suffocating, even though
Yeah.
my lungs, there's enough, but somehow I was choking.
I feel like I'm 500 pounds on that couch
Mm-hmm.
that I cannot get off of it.
Mm-hmm.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
It is crazy. But you know what I keep remembering? It's such a weird thing to like have in my mind. I remember Jim Carrey one time, he said, sometimes depression is your body's way of telling you you need deep rest
Mm-hmm.
because you're depressed.
Yeah.
You need deep rest. You need that time to recover. But don't stay in your deep rest. Give yourself a time frame of how long you need, whether it be a day. Don't make it a month, obviously, but give yourself a real time frame to just sit with those feelings. But you have to make a decision and a commitment for your next step when you feel like you're done with those feelings. And
And
that really stuck with me because it's like you have to sometimes maybe like you need to feel that way
yeah.
and you need to be in it for a minute so
Yeah.
you can maybe it's your body just recalibrating. We don't know why it happens. Sometimes it just happens because like you said, you are a diagnosed depressive person,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to make the decision if you can to come out of it at a certain point. Like this is the day
I
I'm
had
going to do
hit
something.
my
And
rock
then maybe tell somebody if you need help coming out of it.
bottom. Because I
So,
I think people don't really understand that it's an emptiness that is inside
yeah,
of you, and it can be a very deep sadness, but I think the sadness was caused by this like severe emptiness that was inside
yeah,
of me.
yeah.
And again, like as my depression has helped people, it's helped you, it's helped my young family member, and I'm not ashamed of it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I told Deadpool about it. Like I told my partner about it. I don't try to hide it. I'm not here to
Yeah.
mask anymore. And the longer that we live with it, the better we know what to give ourselves. You know to give yourself that grace. Hey, it's okay. Hey, I'm going to give myself this time.
Yeah.
Because it's so funny. Knowledge is power,
It
arm ourselves with
is.
knowledge because it's like now I know what's happening instead of just being a ship lost at sea that needs an anchor in a storm and a safe harbor, and I didn't have one, and I was drowning on dry land because I didn't feel listened to, because I felt something was wrong with me and I had to keep it tamped down because people, you look normal, you're fine, stop lying.
I
That's
hate
not
that.
fair. That's not fair.
A- And like, I think that's probably like one of the biggest things that bothers me is that people always think that I'm okay because I'm so strong. I seem so very strong to people because of what I've been through and what I've been able to get through. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And people aren't seeing a ton of depressive emote from me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not. I'm not okay. I'm not okay right now.
It's
But I
okay not
seem
to be
okay,
okay.
right? Don't I seem just fine? I
Yeah,
can
'cause
crack the
you
jokes.
got your full face of makeup
I
on.
got my full face, like my hair looks good, my makeup looks good. I can crack the jokes if I need to, but I'm not okay right now. I am in full depressed mode and I'm at the beginning of trying to get myself out of it because I've allowed myself 4 whole days and we live in a society where I have to keep fucking functioning, you know? But
Mhm.
I'm not okay right now. And that's okay as
Mhm.
long as I keep doing the next right thing, which I mean, people have heard me say do the next right thing how many times on this show?
Mhm.
As long as I keep doing that next right thing, it's gonna be okay.
Mhm.
I will be okay. It's just not right now. I'm just not okay right now.
That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's been a tough couple of weeks.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, but
Well,
those
I'm glad I
we
could be
this I'm
safe harbor.
yeah, I'm really glad that I have you in my life to like see me through basically and vice versa
I got
whenever we
you.
need each other. I
Mm.
know I got you too, boo. I'm really grateful for our friendship all the time.
And having this experience with depression, it just really makes me a lot of really empathetic to a lot of other people because before younger Rachel, like I would not have understood or been
Right.
able to be like, hey, okay,
Right.
you're right. But I
Right.
see you shuffling those cards.
Yeah, and there's a card that's already popped out.
Oh my goodness, what is Spirit have in store for us today?
I don't know.
On
This is
the, you just had the whiskey bent portion. Let's get into the spellbounding.
let me have a drink. I've
Thank
already poured
you.
myself a second drink.
Because let me tell you, Spirit can't be yelling at us today. Spirit needs to
Ah,
hug us. We don't tell
I
Spirit
don't
what to
think
do, but
Spirit is not yelling at us right now. I can tell you the card that jumped out
mhm,
is more like it's cool. Like we see you.
mhm,
It's gonna be okay.
yeah.
But this we see that this is what's going on. So uh well, I pulled it, but I didn't knock. I'll just knock, but I pulled it already and I saw it, so I have to keep it. All right. So we have the four of spheres, the chariot, and the knight of spheres. So we have two sphere
Ooh.
cards. So we have to obviously look at this book. And then we have for our card that jumped out while we were talking about it jumped out right before I said what I said. And I know that my what I said right now was kind of like sad to hear
Mhm.
for people listening, for you probably, but it's where I'm at right now. And this is the hermit upside down is what pulled, which is what jumped. Yeah,
God
it was
damn.
what jumped out. God damn it. Yeah. So that's what jumped out at me. But we'll talk right now about the Four of Spheres.
Mhm.
Um, the symbolism, a figure clutches a large sphere representing what they have. And the three spheres are unrealized potential. So cautiousness, conservation, making sure that you understand that there's potential out there and you're just kind of cautious about moving forward.
Mhm.
The second one is the chariot. That's the major arcana. So let me just look that up really quick. The chariot represents direction and willpower and control.
Spirit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like what I'm hearing in my gut, in my head, like the voice that I hear when
Mhm.
I read, what I'm hearing is like, like where you're at, you're on a path, that this is like part of the path, and you know that there is opportunity there in your future, but right now this is your path, and you have to make sure that you are still going in the right direction, even though that path has forks in the roads and it has bumps. There's speed bumps and you got this, but you have to just make sure that you have the willpower and the control to just the willpower. I keep hearing that the willpower to keep moving forward.
Mhm.
And then I want to cry. That makes me feel so like I just keep hearing the willpower.
Mhm.
You just have to keep having the willpower, even if it's fake. Keep going. pretend you have the willpower when you don't have it. Oh, this is tough. And then the final one, oh, this is a tough one. The final card is the Knight of Spheres. And again, that's one I have to look up. Okay. So the Knight of Spheres is such a beautiful card. Like, look at that. He looks
Yeah.
like he's on a rhino.
Yeah.
It's a figure that is merged with his steed, embedded in the landscape. It's a source of power that needs protection. Basically, it's time to take action that leads to results. Find the solution, take the action, move forward. It's just about being like having your keep your eye on the goal. Like, yeah, your path is gonna have bumps in it, but there's so much potential there.
Mm-hmm.
So much potential. And then finally, the Hermit. This is the one that jumped out. Well, the Hermit is upside down, which is basically like you're on a search for the truth. You are looking for inner guidance and you're just stuck in a contemplation.
Mm-hmm.
So this could absolutely, like, I could absolutely relate to this in my state of emotional being right now.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, if you're on a path right now, if you're outside of my situation, my own situation, and you're on a path right now, you have to make sure that you're protecting that path because you know what those opportunities are about to present themselves. You have to make sure that you move forward with control and decisiveness so that you can maintain like the momentum that you have so that you can get on that path and stay on that path because the rewards are there for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that was deeply personal for me, but I also feel that it could resonate in so many other ways for so many other people, even if we're not talking about like emotional states. That is a super powerful message. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you got this. You know what the potential is.
Mm-hmm.
Be steadfast, be decisive, be in control of your destiny. And remember, at the end of this, we die. At the end of all of this, we die. Go do it. Do it afraid. That's what your screensaver says. Do it afraid. And if losing my friend suddenly, if her life was anything to me, it was an inspiration because she did everything she wanted to do, whether she was afraid of it or not. She was a meteorologist. She was a pilot. She was amazing. I
Mm-hmm.
will never go a day without telling you I love you. I will
Mm-hmm.
never go a day without appreciating my life. And I will never be afraid of doing what I'm afraid of most, ever, if anything. So that's the reading.
Look at you,
I know.
killing it and shit.
And killing it and shit. Even though I'm emotional, still killing it.
That's right. Sometimes we just kill it
Baby
from the
steps, right?
couch. Mm.
Baby steps. At
Babies.
least I got the top shelf whiskey, quite
Mm.
bourbon, quite frankly. If I'm gonna get shit faced and be sad, let me get shit faced on the expensive shit.
God damn, that's good
That way,
advice. You ready to lighten it up though?
oh, I'm so ready to talk. I'm
You want to
so ready to talk.
you ready to talk?
I'm
Roll
ready
some
to
hot
download the
goss.
cheese may.
Tony's
Hot
trying to
goss.
tease
The
me.
tea.
Uh-huh. Because we went on a throuple date at Disneyland.
We did.
We sure
We
did.
did. We went on a first date. I went on a first date and you basically chaperoned it, but you weren't the chaperone. You were on the date too.
I was also
And
there.
it was
Absolutely.
great.
Yes. Yes. So you wanna take this party over to Patreon?
Hell yeah. Let's pour another glass of whiskey and go over to Patreon and have some
I
tea
I would love
for the
nothing
tea.
more, please join us over on Patreon. Link is below where you can get early access to shows and piping hot tea like Choni's Chunkless Cheese May and special release shows, only Patreon exclusives. So I will meet you over there shortly, Jackie. But until then, thank you for joining us on another fantastic and fabulous episode and very deeply personal to both of us of Whiskey Bent
Spellbound with Black.
and Whitefield. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.